that price is inside the bullish channel. I was in fact anticipating these imbalances, liquidity to be filled, which was in confluence with a boomerang of the channel and obviously this sort of larger pattern. That never happened. Price has decided to go back up, but it's fine. There's no confirmation. There's no trades. From this particular area, you can see, clearly the three aces. I'm sure Rodrigo must have probably covered this three aces recently last week. Textbook setup, but it's obviously gone long now. There's some equal lows, but now we're trading inside of this, outside of this larger pattern that's just broken up to the upside. So now if we go into the H1 for some clearer confirmation, but first of all, let me quickly recap yesterday's live stream that I recorded. I was in fact anticipating these equal lows to get taken out. As you can see, quite textbook. At the time, I believe price was probably around here. And you can see the confluences, right? We can see there's a channel, a third tap. I was expecting the boomerang, 1, 2, and then the boomerang 3, and here as well, 1, 2, the boomerang 3. Now, price did obviously go there, triggered, but was there a break of structure on the M5 or M1? I mean, that's the relevant high and the relevant low, M1. And this is the relevant low and the relevant high on the M1. This is the M5. Any trades? No, you see that? So there was no break of structure of the M1 and no break of structure of the M5. So there's no trades. This is why we highly recommend waiting for confirmation. When I say confirmation, it's obviously a break of structure. Otherwise, you get stopped out. There's just no need to get stopped out. Just wait for the confirmation. Unless there was a three aces, which I can't really see, unless you count, it's not really a three aces, it's more like a double boomerang with no confirmation. So price then decided to go to the banker block, done a little stop hunt, and it's just it's not really clear, is it? It's just breaking away from all the patterns. So the direction was completely wrong. Nothing we can do about that now. So if we update the current price action, let's see. So we are trading inside of this sort of larger sort of structure. I am keeping in mind there is obviously a potential quasi model. So potential trade coming up for a short. So dollar weakness. Let's go to the live markets. If I've missed anything, there we go. We do have a bit of a parallel channel. Lash compression. It's looking pretty decent for a potential short from obviously around these areas. Now, if we go to this QM, first of all, the H1, got the H1 break of structure. So this would be sort of the point of interest. Plan B, you can say, and also plan A, which is the imbalance. So, I know some of you ask, can an imbalance also cause a break of structure and be a point of interest? Yes, it can, but this is why we use it or we don't. It needs to be in confluence with a pattern. Is that in confluence with a pattern? No. Yes, it is, but the pattern needs to be outside, right? So this imbalance immediately gets invalidated. So we don't take that. How about the banker block? Let's see, banker block. Again, it's inside of the pattern. Could work. Maybe if there was a pattern here, for example, on a larger trend line, then this banker block will be perfect. But there's not. So there's only two patterns. So if anything, this is more of one of Rodrigo's three aces. So I will be monitoring it in case there's, price action is looking pretty decent. But what is really interesting for me is the M15 breaker structure, which is right here. And then what caused it? It's quite hard to say. We need to go on the M5 for a clearer picture. There's actually a few scenarios. There's this one, which has been filled. So let's go to the next one. But this one is a bit of a 15 and the combination of an M15 breaker structure. Let me just add this here. And then obviously the M1 may be too far, maybe too far. Every time I have these nuts, stop coughing 1 sec. Okay, let's go to the current price action, 15-minute. This looks much better. This bank plot that we just did there, this will be pretty decent for a nice little entry. So yeah, there we go. That looks pretty sweet. Textbook setup, to be honest. So let's delete it. Let's delete this, tidy the charts up. Separate this, don't really need it for now. This trend line, you can more or less see where it's going. It's, you know, it's likely to form a bit of a larger pattern, and it looks like these levels that we had here from back then, fair enough, there wasn't activated once, you know, I was expecting this basically on a boomerang, but now I can't control the markets, but now there is obviously this setup for potential short, and then maybe they might come into fruition in the future, right? So it's looking pretty decent. This liquidity pool, I'll leave it just as a reference in case I am in a dollar, if I'm in a trade where I'm expecting dollar weakness, then depending on price action, if I see some form of a pattern or compression, then I'll definitely be banking some profit. So it's just here as a reference to be taking profit. And also I'll be monitoring this. And if price decides to go sideways a bit, then I'll delete this and look for levels around down here, most likely to take out these equal lows. So notice how normally everything just ends up lining up. It's crazy how it works. I still get surprised myself. So this particular trend line doesn't have any weight. It's not really a valid trend line, but you can anticipate that price is very likely to reverse from this area, from around down here. I'll be setting some alerts here. Personally, I'll be waiting for something like this. You know, some form of a QM or a breaker structure, so somewhere down there. And again, down here as well. So yeah, it's looking decent. Dollar weakness, very, very clean price action. This, don't know why it's not, okay, that's fine. Euro. Okay, euro from yesterday. This was a trade that I did take. In fact, let me quickly walk you through it. So initially it was a 3 aces. As you can see, there was three taps here. One, the trend line for some reason has been moved. So initially, you know, there was a 3 aces from 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So decent setup. I missed the entry in terms of the first entry, the one that we should be taking, really. Move this here. So really, this was the entry here. This is the one I should have been in, somewhere here, right? So obviously I did miss that. Must have where did it go to? I don't know where it went to. Yeah, did it really go? Anyway, that was obviously done. But when I saw this price action, zooming into the 5-minute time frame, just separate this. I saw this breaker structure. But again, this breaker structure, you know, when it's just one candle, you know, you see this little move here, one counter candle of the previous trend. It's a low probability breaker structure. It's common sense. I don't have to put that, you know, it's a bit of common sense. If we see a series of candlesticks and then there's a breaker structure, obviously this is going to be a higher probability than just one candlestick, right? It's just the same thing. So I decided to basically take this particular trade. There was compression, there was equal lows, low probability break structure imbalance triggered me in, went into my favor. I tied to my stop loss around 1 pip below the low. And then it just decided to trigger its way down. And then obviously I saw some equal lows. There's this pattern that hasn't been completed. So obviously there's a big chance of a boomerang, which is exactly what happened. So I ended up closing my trade here, right? In basically break even. And then it would have completed this boomerang and then gone long. And they would have hit my stop loss anyway. So a bit of a messy trade, but I'm happy. I still followed the rules. Lesson is fair enough. This just wasn't really a clear one. Valid, but not a high probability one, obviously. What else do we have here? And then the market just obviously just gets on dropping. So this is done as a bank level here, I believe. Yeah, that's complete. So let's tidy this up. Yeah, there's a bit of pretty decent liquidity pool. With these liquidity pools now, yeah, they're fine. They do work. But I do prefer taking liquidity pools or entries with QMs here on the left. Those are just my favorite, but still a valid trade. Nonetheless, H4. That's about it, really. So I'm going to be setting an alert here just to get into the zone. And I'll be waiting for the same schematics that we trade over and over again, which is obviously the rejection of the point of interest, a break of structure with clear momentum, and catch, but hopefully a QM. If not, we just wait for compression, and the same thing that we do over and over again. We just keep repeating the process over and over again. So that's the game plan on the euro. So it's looking okay, but I do prefer. I do like this QM around down here. If we were to sort of update this, could have potential setup here. Quite old, actually. Let me separate this, quite old. So already, this is telling me, taking a buy kind of in the middle of no man's land, I'm going to be very, very careful. I would rather wait for double confirmation. There's no way I'll be setting an order right here. However, I am very aware that the DXY looks really, really clean. So by the time price is here, I'm going to anticipate price will be around down here. And with that being said, maybe this is the correct trend line. Look. Looks like this could be the correct trend line. Yeah, this is the correct trend line, my bad. So this is the plan B trend line. I'm going to separate this. And yeah, okay, that all of a sudden looks a little bit better, but it's still inside of the pattern. It's still, yeah, I'm going to be waiting for confirmation. This is why I like looking at DXY and the euro, because sometimes you see something on the euro and sometimes you can't see something on the euro. So you have to go back and forth. And this pattern here just looks a lot cleaner. So that's the euro. This is obviously the point of interest. Somewhere down here, I'm expecting a big short. So that's a DXY. Aussie. I do believe I mentioned to you guys that price is very likely to drop towards this particular setup. There was a boomerang, potential boomerang. It did end up dropping to that area as anticipated, but personally, I never took this trade, even though I said yesterday, I need to be up early around 6 a.m. or whatever. But the actual entry came around 4 in the morning. But it's not really a valid entry for me because it wasn't a free aces. The actual decent entry did actually come here. Right, there was a break of structure, equal lows, rallied. This is the ideal entry, but I wasn't really in front of the screens. Had I taken it, honestly, Nah, I would have rather waited for confirmation. Yeah, I didn't really like it. Missed it. Wasn't in front of the screens. I mean, this happened at 6 in the morning, but I do prefer some patterns. Could have taken it, right? Maybe some days I might just be like, you know what, I've got some profit to play with. I'll take this trade, but just one of those trades that I'm just not in, unfortunately. Go to the H1. See what's happening here. Okay, it's going to get updated. Something more relevant. All of a sudden, all this becomes irrelevant now. Minute. I don't really like the rejection as well. The way it rejected from a point of interest is very corrective. So definitely don't trust it. And it does look, you know, bearish momentum, compression, expecting bearish momentum again. This wick is so massive, you don't need to include it. That's just manipulation. So yeah, with the Aussie, I'm gonna wait a bit. It's not really clean for me yet. Sometimes with these manipulation wicks, you could just ignore it. When it's that obvious, you can ignore it. Right. So this could be this could still be a pattern in play, but I just do not like the ascending nature it's currently bringing. Normally what you want to see is clear momentum and then this ascending nature to be pulling back. I mean, yeah, fair enough. I can look for an entry, but this is not looking clean. I'm not really feeling it. So yeah, I'm going to be waiting for this one. This dollar CAD. Why is this on my watch list now? Dollar CAD. Okay, I remember now. Yeah, I was expecting shorts. From around, really, I was expecting shorts at this imbalance to take the trade. You know, there was a 1, 2, and a potential short. Equal highs, obviously, because of the equal highs, you need to be a bit careful. You want to wait for confirmation. I was expecting shorts towards this area. Obviously, that never really happened. It just completely just went parabolic, really. You know, no confirmation, too much momentum, and it just completely invalidated the short. So that was done. Let's go to the live market, see what's happening, zoom out a bit. Okay, this is, to be honest, all this pattern here is just completely done. Zoom out, H4. Let's go to the daily, see what's happening. This is all done as well, really, this pattern here. Done. This equal low has been filled. This banker block, yeah, we covered that ages ago with the QM. Yep. Quite not really clean. So we may need to update sort of this larger pattern. Which is not really looking okay. That's okay. Okay, I see what's happening. So look, we've got compression. It's a bit tilted, a bit messy, but it's still, you can see as a pullback. Again, we've got momentum and we've got a bit of an expanding compression. There's probably ascending nature here. So if anything, I'm looking for shorts, looks pretty decent to fill out this little QM / banker block, potential boomerang, but I would rather expect shorts on dollar CAD. So let's look at dollar CAD. This is why I say over and over again, always zoom in and out of the different time frames so you don't get fixated on one time frame. You know, otherwise I would have missed out the larger structure. And we do have some decentness in the nature, much clearer. Not a fan of expanding patterns, but it's here, we're gonna do. I do prefer this sort of ascending correction. Could even argue it's a bit of a third tap boomerang, right? 1, 2, and then the boomerang, right? So if anything, it looks like a good short on DollarCAD. So we need to update this most likely on its way down. Break of structures. Oof, it's a bullish break of structure here. A bit of a new range. So the M15 is pretty bullish. It's a really big range as well. M5. The trend has already reversed on M5, which was literally from here. Do have some equal highs there. And a pretty decent little imbalance. If I am going to take a trade, I would like to see something like this. Hold on. So maybe something like this is fine, but on the flip side, then yeah, that could be a good trade because you'll be taking it on the M5 breaker structure. And then obviously, if you're holding this trade, if it comes into fruition, by the time it comes there, then you can just wait for the same setup on the M15 caused by, let's say, this banker block. And then you can hold this 15 chart all the way down to the probably H1 area. So this M5 sort of scope / intraday can turn into a bit of a big swing. But again, for now, that's forecasting way too many steps in advance. We need to focus on what's right in front of us, which is, yeah, this kind of messy price action. So I'm going to set some alerts here just to get into the zone in case there's something I like. And yeah, and then some alerts time, okay? Anything else? Have I missed anything else? Let me see. No, that's it. Looks okay. So potential shorts, again, wait for confirmation. And yeah, we could actually write this down. So out of everything, DollarCAD looks pretty decent. Well, the yen, it's just parabolic as expected because of this compression. It's finally broken out. If we zoom out, there are some equal highs to the left and a pretty decent liquidity pool that are formed. So right now it's just, you know, so much momentum to the upside. So I'm going to be waiting for this to be retested. Hold on. Right, but before we look for buys, I would like to see some deceleration or something to entice me to go short. So if I see some nice clear bearish momentum on the M15, right there, I'll be interested in shorts, right? If I see, yeah, if we do get, I mean, it looks quite decent. If we do get some strong bearish momentum, then look, nice little QM. Actually, no, that wouldn't work because it's already a head and shoulders, so not ignore that. Yeah, we need some clear momentum. This is way too bullish. And because I am expecting buys from around here, we might as well wait for a shift of a trend reversal and then we can sell it. Looking at the M5, I mean, dollar yen, it's so parabolic. So trying to catch a short, you need to be in and out quite quickly. I'm going to set some alerts on the M15. Reason I'm doing M15, I'm not the M1 like I normally do is because obviously it's so parabolic. You kind of want the odds in your favor, and waiting for the M15 breaker structure is obviously a higher probability than the M1. Plus, there's not really any clear patterns. It's just almost a straight line. So it needs a pullback. Just not yet. I mean, maybe there is something happening that we haven't seen yet. Let's go to the H4. Hold on. Okay, what is happening down here? H4. Okay. Nothing to whoa, did not way too much data here. Let's do that again. H4. It's reversed from around here. It just looks like everything on the H4, all the banker blocks and the imbalances have all been filled. So that dramatically decreases the probabilities of the market just completely reversing, obviously. So yeah, so with dollar yen, we need to be careful. So if we are gonna take a short here, you know, in and out, I'll be even happy with a 2R. You know, so anything from 2 to 4R is fine if we're gonna catch a quick short. But I would rather prefer looking for a boomerang or something along these sort of banker blocks. Let's zoom out one more time. Okay, is there something I've potentially missed? Let's go to the daily. Is there a larger pattern? No, there is no patterns on the daily. I mean, come on, look at this. There is no patterns. Look, this is not a pattern we trade. It would be nice if there was some structure from around here, and then yeah, maybe, but nah, nothing there. H4, nothing. So when this happens, don't force the setup. Let the market come to you. We need to basically just wait for this. It might take a while until, you know, we need to wait. We just need to wait. That's all we need to do. Just let the market develop. So dollar yen, for the big long, I'll be staying away. The long is going to be amazing because we've already broken out as expected. Now we are expecting a pullback. So we can look for shorts, but price needs to develop, right? We need a signal. Maybe this is a potential pattern. I mean, even this has broken out already. So yeah, that's it. That's dollar yen. That's about it. It's mainly dollar. It's mainly this setup I'm more interested in. So once I get some confirmation, then I can look at all the other markets for further clarity. Yeah, that's it for me. Okay, there's some questions. What confirmation are you looking for as an interest signal for a trade? Eric, a breaker structure. A breaker structure followed by a pattern. And if there's no pattern, equal lows are fine, but I do prefer looking for a breaker structure on the M1, followed by a compression or a wedge at the point of interest of the new area, basically. Where did everyone go? Yes, still manipulation. It was manipulation. What I'm hearing is manipulation. Can you show a quick example of that confirmation? Sure. I mean, guys, there's a million examples in Discord. If I was you, literally check out all the winners, and yeah, just check out all the winners on Discord. There's so many examples, but let me see if I can find one now. And what was the trade that I took recently that I remember? Okay, USD. See. You sure there's something here? Okay. Have we got time? Yeah, we've got time. It's fine. Unless you want to cover something, Rod, briefly, real quick.
Not yet. I'm just in the middle of something.
Okay, cool.
But there are some questions. There are some people with hands up, and so if you got a question, just put your hand up or raise your hand. Like there's a little button that tells you how to raise your hand on Zoom, and then yeah, when Diego calls you out, just unmute and ask your question, please.
Sure. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna have enough time to cover this. This will probably take out the whole 20 minutes looking for a confirmation trade. But really, what it is let me see if I can do it briefly here. Look, we kind of wait for a break of structure. We get all the confluences from around here. There's a break of structure. Break of structure. I'm sure I took a trade here. I can't remember exactly where it was. I'm pretty sure. I think I took a trade here. So yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah, I took a trade there. Where is the setup? See. Okay, this is fine. Okay, that must have been this one. But in the meantime, so who's got the hands raised? Gonzalo, yes, Gonzalo.
Hey, Diego, welcome back, mate.
Thank you.
On the Euro USD, on the 1 hour time frame, do you think it's doing a third tap of the bottom trend line?
I don't know. I'll check it out in a minute. I'll check it out. I'm just replying to a question by picture, but I can't see any examples unless please don't. I've got.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
It looks like I may have some examples to show. Maybe if I zoom out. No, where are they? Oh, is this a trade here? Okay. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay, this is what I mean by confirmation. So for picture, I do believe it was picture that answered it. The first thing we need to do is you've identified, this is not the full analysis, right? The full analysis is obviously, because I've deleted everything. There's a boomerang here, I believe. Confirmation is this. So you've identified a break of structure. This is for picture, right? You've identified a break of structure on the M15. Price and obviously, this is confirmation, right? This is a clear confirmation. But now what you need to do is wait for the pullback. There's always a complex pullback. Because what's going to happen is it can make new highs, it can make new lows. Does not really matter what's happening. What matters is price is likely to return to the point of interest that took out this structure. So we've got a plan A banker block, which is here. And we've got plan B imbalance, which is there. So once you've identified that particular area, we then look for an entry. So I believe I must have taken an entry here for some reason. And yeah, 1.5 pips above or 2. So the confirmation really is a break of structure at your point of interest. So your point of interest is here somewhere. Once your point of interest has been triggered, you wait for your confirmation. That's number one. I go over it over and over. In Discord, there's so many case studies. Confirmation is number one. Number two is obviously your pattern, which is here. And then number three is the extra confirmation on the lower time frames, which is obviously a break of structure, but on the 1 minute chart. So hopefully that answered your question on picture. But again, go on Discord and you'll check, especially Euro USD and AUD USD. There's a ton of examples of confirmation. But it's basically that. Euro. Okay, Euro. What's happening with Euro? Gabriel, sorry, not Gabriel, Gonzalo, which third tap are you referring to? This one?
No. If you extended that, this one.
What, this?
No.
That?
The one that's already there, the really long one. The one.
Yeah. Sorry. That.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right. Wouldn't that be considered as third tap boom? To
Yeah. I mean, I've got it here. I've just separated it because I'm focusing on this sort of pattern. So yeah, that's part of the third tap sort of boom there as well.
because how the heck do I have this? Because I identified something like that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's also valid.
And then if we go down on the 15-minute, I can see like a kind of expanding channel as well. Like that. To which is touching this imbalance.
Absolutely. And there's also this pattern and this pattern, etc. Right. So there's a lot of probabilities, to be honest.
Is that would you consider that a high probability or is it low probability?
I really need to be checking DXY. So because DXY is almost because by the looks of it, it's a probability. I probably say it's medium.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying is medium, even though we've got all these point of interest, is because these point of interest, which is basically around this area, once price drops down here, is in confluence with this area here. So, you know, I would rather wait for sort of this area to be filled. So that's why I'm waiting for the DXY to just give me that confirmation. And then I can look at Euro and be like, okay, hold on a minute. What is the confluence? Maybe price action may be here somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And then there's probably something happening down here, but then we've got equal lows. So that's why I'm personally just waiting for the DXY. Because what I don't want to do, and the mistakes I've made before in the past, is there's a decent trade, like a boomerang here, or 3 aces, or something, and I take it, but then what happens is I get triggered in a Euro, I see some profit, it comes to my point of interest, and it drops, and then boom, I get stopped out. Because I've been there so many times, I'll rather just wait for the DXY to just give me that green flag, and then I'll look at Euro. If you've entered a trade here, and then your trade is, for example, you know, you've been triggered, your stop loss is there, you know, you're in profit. I tighten my stop loss by 50%, and then, you know, I see something like this, and equal lows here. And then after there's, you know, let's just say there's, oh, let me move this out of the way, hold on. And there's potentially a pattern, and there's a liquidity pool right here, right? That's gonna stop me out. So why would I hold it? So yeah, there was a bit of discretion then. But I'm still sort of following the rules. You know, these are still the rules that I use to enter a trade. And if I see that on the flip side, and I'll also use that to come out. Use the mechanical rule that is in the videos as well, where you only come out after you see the equal lows, and then there's a stop hunt, and then you move your stop loss every time it makes a new, you know, it makes a new high, right? And that's in the course, you know, it's a very mechanical rule. So you can obviously follow that. And that's what I normally do. But if price didn't give me that, and then price is giving me this, I'm going to do this, right? The markets are not always going to be perfectly, you know, robotic. You know, you need to be flexible. This is my mechanical rule, is in the course, right? There's equal lows, there's a stop hunt, and eventually, makes a new high, you move your stop loss here. Then you get taken out. Well, like Freddie just said, yeah, good idea. He's just going to do it when it's really obvious. This, to me, what happened in Euro, that was so obvious, man. I was definitely going to get stopped out. And my stop loss was here somewhere. And I don't see the schematic. Something so obvious like this, when you just know you're going to get stopped out, you have to act, right? You can't just have you need to have mechanical rules. You need to be discretionary. You need to be a hybrid of everything, to really stay long term.